Hey guys, I'm Midnight Siren, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, kind of like the commentary thing I did on my bad creepypasta video, except I'm not going to be doing a bad creepypasta, I'm going to be doing random pastas. Now, if you go onto the Creepypasta Wiki, they have a button under useful links that is called Random Pasta, and if you click it, it'll literally link you to just a random page on the wiki, and I'm just gonna be like reading a couple of those and giving my impression of it and everything. And if they're short, I'll do a couple in one video. If I find one that's long, I will just do one video. And I'm not gonna be doing any of the really mainstream stuff, so if I happen to get linked to like the Slender Man or something, I'm not gonna read that. I'll just search for another pasta. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and our first pasta is called The Old TV, and it is by Seoshid Train. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know how to exactly say that, but there'll be links for all the pastas that I read in the description, so you can check them out for yourself. Okay, and this is the old TV. We got it from the secondhand store for a cheap price when I was about 10 years old. I remember being really excited to have my own TV set in my room. It was one of those 70s styles TVs. After my dad brought it upstairs and hooked it up on my desk, I spent the whole afternoon lying on my bed watching local TV, not knowing what was ahead. Okay, already this sounds like 1999 to me. That night we turned the TV off and drifted to sleep. I was suddenly standing in front of my house. It was daytime, the sun was brighter than normal. A shadow-like figure was in the distance. It looked like a man, but I couldn't tell. It seemed to be smiling as it started running towards me quickly. I took off, trying to get away. The shadow got closer and closer. It was about to catch me when I woke up. The TV was on full blast, which was strange because the TV was hard to turn off. You needed to pull a lever, and it wasn't easy to pull. I shut off the TV so it couldn't wake up my brother and baby's sister. I drifted back to sleep. Over the past week, things got even creepier. Every time I entered the room, I felt like someone was watching me, so I tried to avoid going in there. The nightmares became darker and felt more real. The shadow became more aggressive. I don't entirely remember, but it always had that haunting smile. The TV will always be on every time I woke up from a nightmare, even though I always shut it off before I went to bed. An odd incident occurred with my baby sister, who can barely walk in addition to only being 2 years old. Don't toddlers walk at 2? Like, I'm pretty sure they walk at 2 years old. Was able to escape the crib before wandering to my parents' room. Yeah, I think 2-year-olds do that. She stared at them with an expressionless face for a long amount of time. My dad kept telling me that the TV would always turn on at full blast in the middle of the night and how it drove him crazy. The nightmares became worse, up to the point that the shadows started hurting me in my dreams. The nightmares became more of a blur, but I remember once that the shadow had trapped me in a room. The room was small and pitch black. The only thing I saw was that smile. I saw it taking out a knife and jamming it into my chest. The pain felt so real, so intense, I instantly woke up and checked if I was alive. One morning, I was in my room playing my Game Boy happily when I saw the shadow standing in my doorway. This time, I saw him clearly. His face was His face was decomposing, and he still had that horrific smile. He stared at me with those crazed eyes. It stood there for 2 seconds until it disappeared. I was frozen, unable to move or think. I was scared out of my mind. From there, I knew that the TV had to be responsible for the strange activity. The same week, my family and I had enough of it. So we decided to throw that piece of shit in the trash. All the nightmares stopped and the heavy air lightened up. Up to this day, I have no idea who was that man or his intentions. I guess the previous owner was attached to that TV and never let it go. Last time I saw that man was 2 days later after we threw away the TV. It was night and dark. I was staring out my window because I had nothing else to do. He was standing in an alley beside my house, waving goodbye. Okay, so that wasn't that bad. The ending I kind of liked, but the rest of it just seemed sort of forced. Other than that, it wasn't really that bad. Let's read some of the comments. There's 15. This pasta was a little underdone, but the end was pretty cool. You do have a few spelling and or grammar issues in this story. A couple times I had to reread the sentence to catch what you were saying due to the choice of your word placement. All in all, though, it was a neat story. I think it just needs a little bit of work. Once again, super cool ending, sorry. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Next comment. Great ending, BTW. Next comment. I mean, it doesn't really sound like it was a real story. For being a make-believe story, 6 out of 10. And then this person has a little picture of Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's speaking out of a curtain. And then next comment, good pasta. Next comment, it was a cliche pasta, but still I enjoyed it, 6 out of 10. I should probably give my rating for this. I would give it a 5 out of 10. No. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Okay, so next pasta. Oh, this is a 2-part thing. So now I have to random pasta again. Alright, let's see. How long is this? Alright. This pasta is called That One Time ... When I was young, I had this attic. It was old and dusty, which was my favorite type of place to go. My parents never understood why I would go and hide up there. When you face the actual reality of it, it shows how I feel. I can be myself in the attic. I can do whatever I want. Sometimes I got a strange feeling, a strange vibe from the attic, like it calls for me, or wants me to come back. Eventually I go to the attic, and the feeling goes away. One night I tried to sleep in the attic. I remember one thing from it. I was there with my friend James. He was the type of person who would like to goof around and impersonate others. He made me laugh and almost die from how close he could get. Okay? But then we had to go to bed. We got in our pajamas and got our sleeping bags. Now you might be thinking that this is boring and not scaring at all, but you just wait and see what's in store for you, my friend. It was around 10 o'clock p.m. when we started to get tired, but we still couldn't get to sleep. I sat up and looked in the direction. And looked in his direction. He made a funny face and I giggled slightly. Shh, he hissed. I nodded. Then, I couldn't tell for sure, but me and him both heard it. It was a noise like the one James did, but more distorted. Like a static shock, like a robot, but more repulsive and aggressive. A mocking tone was in it as well. Me and James jumped up, and as we both heard the noise at the same time, we looked at each other in fear. I knew what was in this neighborhood. There was criminals and thugs that would break into anyone's house. I grabbed my flashlight and shined it in the darkest corner. Something moved very fast, away from the light. It made a swishy noise. Why does he or she have to point out that there was criminals and stuff when they heard a robot noise? Kevin, I think we should get your parents, James said. Nah, it's probably just my sister, I said. We heard another hiss, and then some old boxes suddenly started to move. Do you have a cat, he asks. No, I say. Did he ever mention that he was in the attic? I don't know if he did or not. Come on, Tabitha, that's not funny, I yell. Me and James were expecting a giggle, but there was no response. More sounds circle around us, and then something grabs James from his behind. I shine the flashlight behind him. It was this large black mass, with sharp fangs sticking out of its mouth. It was grossly deformed. Its arms were bent and crooked, its face twisted around. I started running toward the doorway. Kevin, help me! He screamed. But when I turned around, he was gone. After that, I told my parents what happened. They didn't believe me. Then, after a while, they sent me to an insane hospital. An insane hospital? Saying that there was no James in this town, and I died on the inside when we got to the hospital. 10 years later, I can still hear James's shrill scream in my head. I still see him getting dragged away. One night when I was about to fall asleep, I saw him, but he was sort of distorted like the monster we saw. "Good night, Kevin," he said lazily. Now I definitely can't get to sleep. "What happened to you, James?" I asked. "The Forgotten have accepted me into their ranks," he said, grinning wildly. "It cost a bit of mutilation to my body, but I feel wonderful," he said. "How does this happen to you?" I asked. "Well, Kevin, remember that one time? That one time where you left me for dead? Yeah, one of the Forgotten fledglings got a hold of me," he explained. He inched closer to my bed. "Now, Kevin, now that you know I'm okay, I'm going to need you to go to sleep." "Oh, is he Jeff the Killer now?" "Don't worry, I won't do anything. Just try to forget about that one night," he says sleepily. "Oh, okay," I stuttered. I lay down and wait for the darkness to overcome my eyelids. I wake up on a cold, solid bed. It was like a rock and my limbs were restrained from moving. I look over my stomach to see restraints on my hands and feet. "Where the fuck am I?" scream. I hear people talking. I hear James' voice. Not James's, James' voice. And another man's voice. They were coming closer to the chamber. I struggled in my restraints to get out. It was no use. I was stuck there for good. "Good morning, my good old friend," James said excitedly. "What the fuck do you want?" I screamed shrilly at him. "Oh, don't act like that. We just came to do some arrangements to your..." He's cut off by me. "I don't care. Get me the hell out of here," I yell at him. "I'm sorry, friend. I'm afraid we can't do that." I see him pulling out a hammer and the other man pull out a saw of some sort. Except it wasn't a man. It was a Forgotten. That is what James called it. "When should we begin, sir?" it asked. "Soon, my dear friend, soon," he said. What the fuck are you doing?" I yell once more. "Shh! We need you to be quiet," he says. The man beside him pulls out a big pair of scissors. James opens my mouth and grabs my tongue. The man cuts it out of my mouth. I scream a gurgle in agony. The blood was filling my mouth up fast. "That's better," James says with a smile. "Open wide." He opens my mouth again. The blood pours onto me. Then he grabs what looks like a vacuum cleaner tube. He puts it in my mouth and sucks out every drop of blood in my mouth. "Now, Kevin, we're going to help you." "Well, more like rearrange you," he says with a smile. He puts away the vacuum bag and pulls up his hammer. "Now all I need you to do is remember that one time." And then everything is gone. Okay, there are 0 comments for this. I don't really know what to think about that one. It wasn't as good as the first one, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. No, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. But, it was just kind of hard to follow what was going on, and it kept switching tenses a lot, and it was kind of hard to tell if it was past tense or present tense. And I didn't really like the whole Forgotten thing. That was a little confusing, and it seems like the blood was just forced. I don't know. It wasn't that bad, I suppose. I've read worse, but yeah, it wasn't the greatest story I've ever read. But, well, this has gone on for 14 minutes, so I think I'm going to end that there. And, I think I'm going to do some more of these random pastas. Like, I think it'll be fun. So, I will see you next time. I'm Midnight Siren, and I'm out.